Hello everyone, Dr. Jack Wolfson, and welcome to another amazing edition of the Healthy Heart Show. Today I'm honored and privileged to have Dr. Eric Zielinski on with us today. Dr. Eric, how are you?
I am blessed, my friend. Truly honored. Love you, man. I really appreciate all that you're doing, and I look forward to our chat.
You know, you and I, obviously, we met a few years ago, and we've been to some events together, these holistic health and wellness events. And really, I'm sure you would agree, the health revolution is on. And this information that we're able to get out, whether it's through podcasts, through video, webinars, and summits, and I know you're huge on the summit aspect as well. It's really just groundbreaking and exciting for us to be part of it all, right?
You know, to give people an opportunity where they can clear away the confusion and follow people that they trust. I mean, essentially, you know, not everyone gets one-on-one time with you, Doc, but to hear your thoughts, to hear these interviews, to read your posts online, it's a blessing, but it's also, on the other side, it's kind of almost a curse, because when someone types up whatever it is, AFib or stroke or depression, everything under the sun is online. And so I hope that what we do is clear away the mess, because there's a lot of mess out there, a lot of misinformation, a lot of misquoting, a lot of pocket share researchers that really have no right to be saying what they do. And I hope and pray that people stop getting their medical advice on Pinterest and start going to qualified professionals, really.
Well, yeah, I would certainly agree. Now, I guess, you know, from my standpoint as a cardiologist, I think some of the information that's out there, as you would agree, is certainly very good, because they're not getting this from their typical medical doctor. They're not going to go to their typical medical doctor and find anything out about causation. Yet they can go to areas of the internet, like you said, where maybe it's not the most qualified person that's giving out the advice. As I say, the person who slept in the Holiday Inn last night, now they kind of woke up this morning and they're an expert in whatever field they choose. I think that although people do not need to be a doctor to be qualified to have the conversations, I think those people with doctorate level educations, like yourself, of course, certainly can be very trusted authorities when it comes to real health and wellness.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, I validate that 100%. I see it in the essential oil space, maybe more than in your profession, Jack, because, I mean, I can't tell you, every Dr. So-and-so, every mommy blogger, they're either selling an essential oil, they're affiliating for a company, and the information out there is frank, just confusing. And the reason I wrote the book I did, the reason I hosted my telesummits, and I kid you not, was because thousands of people started just flooding my website and like, Dr. Z, what do I do? I'm confused. This person says this person says that, and it's just like this. So I'm like, you know what? I went to aromatherapy school, Jack, because as a researcher, I realized there was a chasm between the information I learned, not only in chiropractic school, in public health school, but from what clinicians are doing day to day. There's a huge leap. And a logical leap that unless someone's practicing with patients all the time, you can't get from the research. That's why I went to aromatherapy school, and my mind was blown. And I realized that most of the information out there on essential oils is incorrect about how to use them safe, about how to use them medicinally. And some of the stuff is just I don't even know where people get their information from. So I say that to say, you know, in my book, Jack, I have this section that says how to get the most out of the book. And I encourage people to do this. I really do. I encourage people to limit the voices that you listen to. I mean, for me at least, I've had very good mentors, emotional, spiritual, marriage, all kinds of stuff, my own personal life. I've had people help me, you know, men specifically guide me along my way throughout my life. And I'm telling you, it's hard to have 5 or 6 or 7 mentors speaking things in your life, because what are you going to do when things conflict? So for someone like you, for example, you know, you're the cardiologist I would trust. I really wouldn't listen to 15 other cardiologists. You're just going to get confused. So with that said, folks, especially in my world, the essential oil space, choose 1 or 2 or 3 teachers that you really want to, so to speak, like sit under, like as you would a college class. Take their classes, their master classes, read their books, and once you feel you've gained all you can from them, maybe go on to someone else. But I'm telling you something, man, there is way too much out there, and I'm like, you know what, let's just get back to the basics, really.
Well, I think, you know, you also hit the nail on the head, is that, you know, I'm not here to, you know, and I know you're not as well either, to insult the people that, you know, work in some of these other organizations or have accounts with some of these network marketing or multi-level companies because they can provide some good service, but that's why I have you on the podcast and on the interview today, because you are the expert. You're a doctor. You've got the patient experience with this, the clinical experience of thousands of people. So, you're really the go-to authority on this, and a trusted source, of course, and just so much experience with the telesummits and the book. So let's start with, because I want this podcast to focus on a lot of different things, but certainly if we can kind of hone in on maybe what are essential oils and how did they get to, how did the whole essential oils idea as a health method, how did that all get started?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, to really just call it bluntly, if it weren't for network marketing, we wouldn't even be talking right now. Essential oils were fringe. I mean, they were bastardized as just literally like lotions and potions and voodoo medicine back 30, 40, 50 years ago. And aromatherapy, up until now, no one even knew what it was. And then the network marketing community came. And to me, at the end of the day, I was just at doTERRA. I was just at Young Living. I'm signing books at these major conventions. Even though I'm not affiliated with any company, we have tens of thousands of followers from these companies all around the globe. And so I try to meet these folks, and I've realized one thing, like they did the grassroots effort to get this message out, because essential oils as a alternative treatment is to me, more of the ancient treatment that we've used since the beginning of time. It's been, again, fringe, because the medical community isn't trained in aromatherapy. And so, at all, right? So unless your medical doctor is getting advanced training or CE credits, continuing education credits, specifically at like an integrative health conference or a natural conference that gives them credits, they're not going to know what to do. And so that's why we're here. So, really thumbs up. Kudos to everyone who's been part of that movement in the last 20 years, really. And so what essential oils are, folks, is they're volatile organic compounds. They are those compounds, those aromatic molecules that are in your plants, of your favorite roots and herbs and trees and barks. And when you put your nose into a rose garden, for example, or just a rose flower, and you smell the scent of roses, because particles you can't even see are being emitted from the rose, and they're touching your nose. And this is the science of smell that Yale University is really starting to tap into the last few years, really has been shown to change your physiology. That's why when you walk downstairs or walk into someone's home during Thanksgiving celebration and it reminds you of grandma 30, 40, 50 years ago, it could bring you back to that moment. It really brings back, because what we know about the power of smell, it stimulates the limbic system, the part of your brain where your emotions, your primal brain, your mood, your memory is. But as smell can trigger joy and happiness, as smell can decrease depression, it could also trigger stress. It could also trigger trauma if you've been abused or have had a traumatic situation where there is a specific smell in the area. That's why a lot of aromatherapists who are using essential oils for recall healing are very careful, because they don't want to trigger someone, because God forbid you were abused and there were lavender in the area. Well, that could actually trigger back. And that's the thing, Jack. People don't even realize what's happening when they go have aerosols, when they go have sprays, when they're spraying a lot of these synthetic ingredients, like they might feel agitated because synthetic fragrances automatically are an insult to the body. There is no therapeutic benefit whatsoever, and it kind of triggers that traumatic experience to someone at the emotional, but mental, but physiological level. So this will blow your mind. You smell lime, you smell orange, you smell I'm thinking tangerine, lemon, any citrus oils like orange that has D-limonene content of it. It will stimulate your brain to produce what's known as lipolysis, which is fat breakdown. It literally tells your brain, you know what, you don't need all this fat. Let's start burning fat just by smelling lime, by smelling orange. So in our new weight loss book, we're teaching people how to use aroma to tell the brain and the sympathetic system, because think about it. Traditionally speaking, limes and lemons, they are mood boosting, and there's a sign and a symbolism of beautiful harvest and beautiful sunshine. I mean, you get down to it, evolutionarily speaking, it makes a lot of sense. And so when our ancestors used herbs, when they burned incense, they were really tapping into the power of essential oils for the healing.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, so, I have a whole chapter in my book called One Nation Under Prozac. And in that chapter, it's all about how mental stress, how mental health affects cardiovascular risk. So if we can say that things like stress and anger and depression and anxiety are all linked to cardiovascular risk, it's a matter of how we deal with it. And it sounds like you've got some really interesting ideas regarding what we can do to mitigate those. Yet it's not just about smelling any particular oil, right, or any kind of aromatherapy. It has to be really dialed in and guided for best. But what if you're someone out there who maybe doesn't have the guide, and obviously they'll watch you, they'll pick up your information, they'll get your new book.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any blanket aromas or oils that would be beneficial as kind of calming to most people in general?
Yeah, by and large, we'll go back to the citrus oils because that's something that I've spent a lot of time researching and using the last couple of years. Is nothing is antidepressive. Nothing can actually help stop a panic attack than bergamot, which is that beautiful taste and aroma that people like their Earl Grey tea. Oil bergamot. That's a citrus fruit. Same thing with neroli, which are orange blossoms. And then you go down the line from mandarin down the lemon, lime, and all the beautiful citrus oils. For those, for sure, are a good start. Mm-hmm. And those are actually mood boosting, mood balancing. But if someone's really in the sympathetic fight or flight, they can't get out of this chronic stress situation, you really want to focus on those that can bring calming, and those rooting essential oils like cedarwood, like vetiver, which is a root from Haiti, lavender, which we all know about lavender, right, at this point, Roman chamomile. These can help. And these can actually bring someone to a place where they could sleep better, which to me, Jack, at the end of the day, the one thing I always want people to do, whether it's cancer, diabetes, whether it's chronic stress or suicide, I don't care what you're dealing with, you got to sleep. Because if you can't sleep, you can't repair, right? So we have these sleepy time blends. We try to get people on like, okay, first let's focus on your sleep and then let's kind of tackle other things.
Fantastic, because obviously, you go to so many of these health events or even online, and there's so much debate about what's the best diet. And I know you're going to talk about your recommended diet and your essential oils diet, coming up. But, we sit there and we debate about all these different things. Is it low fat? Is it low carb? Is it paleo? Is it keto? Is it vegan? What is it? Yet I would agree with you that more important than what you eat is, number one, the sleep that you get. That's the ultimate of importance. Yeah. And the second is sunshine, and then food is somewhere down below. And I'm not telling people, hey, listen, as long as you're sleeping, getting sunshine, go eat fast food,
exactly,
drink soda pop and smoke your cigarettes. But what I'm saying is that it's very fundamental. And for hundreds of millions of years, it was all about the sun and about the sleep cycles that organisms had, and our food, our diet came much, much later. But let me kind of circle back to you. Do me a favor, explain a little bit just as far as how the oils are made, because when you're talking about these different citrus blends, where are we getting that from? Are we boiling, or are we extracting from the skin? Is it from the inner flesh and the seeds? Is it a combination? Where are we getting it from?
Yeah, so essential oils, again, are volatile organic compounds, which means volatility means they readily evaporate. They're very light. And for those chemistry nerds out there, we're looking at the Dalton, the molecular weight of these compounds. When you get plant matter, whether it's geranium flowers or vetiver root or whatever it might be, and you break it down and you put it into a steam distillation process, and then you distill it with boiling hot water and steam, those compounds that go through the steam, through the condenser, are those essential oils, okay? Anything not light enough to go through the steam, they will be emitted through the hydrosols, which are also known as floral waters, okay? They're kind of like the byproduct of essential oils, but they do so much more. Those are what a lot of folks have in their perfume and their body sprays and whatnot. So for citrus oils, you don't want to steam distill citrus oils because they're so they're so sensitive, okay? And there's a potential where you can denature and you can actually affect the chemical compounds by heating them up. So what you do is you get a citrus rind. Like, let's say you get 40 lemons. For example, Jack, it takes about 40 lemons to cold press like you would olive oil to get an itty-bitty bottle like this, just the rind. And so put things into perspective, folks. I don't know about you, but I love limes and lemons, and I make my own soda. I get sparkling water. We actually have a, what's it called, a soda stream at my home. Yeah, we have a soda stream. I put a few droppers, because I love it, liquid stevia with a couple drops of lime or lemon or orange essential oil, and that's my soda pop. I live off the stuff. Yep. I used to drink soda a lot. So if you cut your lemon, or if you cut your lime, if you want to add a little juice to it, your hands get a little greasy. Well, that's because the essential oil in the rind. So you get the rind and you cold press it together, and it takes a lot of citrus just to get that one itty bitty bottle. So these essential oils are in all of your plant matters that people have used traditionally. But here's the thing about supplements people don't realize is they're dehydrated. The essential oils are extracted out. So you're not getting the benefit of essential oils when you're taking supplements. What I found, Jack, is when people take supplements, and research supports it, especially enzymes and probiotics, and some research actually suggests chemotherapy and other drugs, using essential oils in conjunction with these therapies makes them more effective. Essentially, they can act as like a carrier because they're lipid soluble. They enter into the cell without having to worry about, just through normal diffusion. And unless you have something lipid soluble, because your cell's surrounded by that phospholipid membrane, things can't get in there, right? So that's why we hear a lot about lipospheric vitamin C and other, basically lipid encapsulated vitamins to get the body, make it absorbable. Essential oils can help with that. So we incorporate essential oils in our food, with our supplements, with the medications that people want to take. And we find that across the board, very beneficial.
Got it. No, great information. So this is, of course, the Healthy Heart Show. So maybe let's talk about a few different situations, and maybe just shoot me out a few options when it comes to, let's talk about high blood pressure. What are the things that can really help to alleviate the hypertension? We talk about a lot about the autonomic nervous system and the parasympathetics and the sympathetics, and everybody's in that sympathetic fight or flight overdrive, go, 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 go. So I'm thinking maybe some ideas to lower the sympathetics, increase parasympathetic tone, which is the rest and digest. What else would you say would be helpful in that arena? And then maybe give me like 2 or 3 different options for people with high blood pressure.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, Korean researchers back, I don't know, what was it, 2012, evaluated nearly 100 hypertensive and pre-hypertensive patients to see how the aroma from essential oils can affect their blood pressure. And they found that 4 work in synergy really well together. And that's something too we haven't talked about, Jack, is like, we're big Marvel hero buffs in my home. And we watched all the movies, right? So you got Captain America. Like, think of Captain America like you would like Lavender. Like, Captain America can kick butt by himself. He's really good. He can really help with a lot of things. And so can Iron Man. Think of him like Ylang Lang. And he can do his own thing once he has, like, someone battling him or a foe. Well, when Thanos comes and you have universe domination, you need everyone together. And so, yes, Lavender and Ylang Lang and Marjoram and Neroli, those are the 4 we're going to talk about, hypertensive. They can help individually. But once they work together as a whole, they have a synergistic property that works together, and they compound each other's benefits. So that's one thing that a lot of folks don't realize about blending. It's not just to enhance the smell. It's because they work in synergy with each other, which is pretty profound. So it makes you think, what am I eating? What am I thinking? What am I exercising? How are my habits in life? Everything works in synergy. And we hope to bring homeostasis and peace. So again, you have lavender, you have ylang ylang, you have marjoram, and neroli are 4 oils that researchers have blended together and tested, and they help, and they can help people that are battling high blood pressure. On the flip side, this is something to realize, that most essential oils have what's known as a harmonizing effect, which means they just help produce homeostasis. This is what's interesting about nutrition as well. This is what's interesting about proper exercise, is that when you eat right for your body type, when you are exercising right for your body type, when you're practicing emotional and mental and spiritual practices, this creates balance in your body. Same thing with essential oils. Some people, and you'll probably appreciate this more than most people who interview me, Jack, because you understand this, but they've done studies on ylang ylang, where you have people that have high blood pressure and low pulse rate use ylang ylang, and it balances them out. Well, when you increase pulse rate, you're going to increase blood pressure. They found that the same people with conflicting biochemical markers, they found balance. Why? Because ylang ylang, like your wife would say, like a chiropractic adjustment, gives the body the innate ability to bring peace and harmony and homeostasis. So I suggest to use essential oils with the mindset, not that I'm going to treat hypertension, but I'm going to give my body what my body needs. However, here's the caveat. There are few oils, rosemary being one of them, that hypertensive patients need to be cautious of, because there is no reason to believe at all that rosemary will cause a decrease. It will raise your blood pressure. There are a few like that, but that's fine. That's why you get my book, my masterclass.
Okay, and very good. And I want to hear more about that, obviously. But I do want to say rosemary, as far as a consumed spice, is very medicinal and actually can be a blood pressure regulator, so it can actually help to lower blood pressure down, as can all those different spices, because all the blood pressure drugs came from the spice industry. But you're saying, as far as in the concentrated oil version, be careful of rosemary if you do have high blood pressure. The 4 products that you recommend, the 4 oils you recommend, is that available in a combo in any way, or that's something that people are kind of mixing on their own?
Yeah, and this is where, and to your point, that's a good point, folks. The culinary dose that you're getting in herbs and spices is nowhere near the therapeutic dose of an essential oil. Because again, going back to my lemon analogy, it takes about 40 rinds of lemons just to get 1 bottle of lemon. It takes about 35 pounds of lavender. Like, just think about how light a lavender flower is, right? Yeah, 35 pounds of that just to get 1 itty bitty bottle of lavender. This is super hyper concentrated plant-based compound. So yeah, you're right. But also brings a point too about excess, Jack. Yeah, a little bit of rosemary is good, but excess can cause the opposite effect. That's something I want people to realize. 1 drop is good, but 20 ain't better. Same thing with food, right? So you have these oils that we mentioned, the marjoram, the lavender, the neroli, and ylang ylang. You have to blend them together, because I don't know of any company that sells like the hypertension blend. And it's easy. I mean, that's what we do. We teach people, like, okay, here's how simple it is. You get these oils from whatever supplier that you want to from, and what we want to do is we want to blend them. Very simple. Can get a little messy, right? Because you're dealing with oils, you're dealing with bottles. But one thing that I like about this is, unlike most things that I see out there, it puts the onus on the person. And I know folks, the most I don't know, accountable, people with the most ingenuity in the natural health space, they're doing their own stuff. Like you and your wife, you guys are great testimonies to just like taking control of our health, and let's start doing our own stuff, make our own food, make our own solutions, DIY whenever we can. And that's what I want to encourage people to do, is that once you start doing a little bit, it's like you get a power back. It's like you're empowered not to see the solution everywhere else. Where when something happens where your kid maybe have a 102, 103, God forbid a 104 temperature, you're not freaking out going to the urgent care. You know what to do. You're going to your medicine cabinet and you make your solution. And Jack, as a father of 4 kids, that was when I realized that I had my power back as an individual, because I didn't realize I gave it away to not only the pharmaceutical industry, but just the farming industry, to the conventional food industry. It's like everything is being pre-made for me. Everything is being done for me. It's like I became essentially not a victim, but I became enabled by the system to not even know how to live. I couldn't garden anymore. I couldn't take care of myself anymore. And if you look at our...
Yeah, for the children, as far as role models to the children, as far as, leading by example and getting them back to the basics. I mean, if you want to tell me what's more important, to teach your child how to garden and to lead a holistic life, and to mix their own essential oils, to me, is that more important than them learning trigonometry? Of course it is. I mean, those basic fundamental things that we've gotten away from and we've outsourced, yet that fundamental knowledge is so important. And I think what you bring up too is also, once again, the importance of, essential oils. They are very, very medicinal and very, very powerful.
Yes.
And this is really where your guide comes in, like Dr. Z here, to be able to really guide you on the right way, because you don't want to just do this, without extreme care and caution, because maybe you're thinking you're doing something good for your blood pressure, but it's going to go up, or your heart rate, or your blood sugar.
Yes.
Or anything. So love that information. And I think also is that sometimes people complain about the cost of holistic living. And first of all, we talked about sunshine and sleep, which of course are free. But from what you're saying, as far as the expense of an essential oil, if it takes someone and some company the ability to take 40 lemons and put those oils into a bottle like this, that's a lot of lemons, and lemons cost money. The processing, the quality controls, all that costs money. So next time you're going to question the value, of course you can get a Tylenol for 5 cents, or you can get real health and wellness inside that bottle, but you're going to have to pay for quality, right?
Oh yeah, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's one of the things that we really debunk right off the get is I can't tell you how many friends and family members that are just loaded with medical debt because of copays, because their deductibles are so high, treatments that are just not covered anymore. We hear it. It's more expensive to be sick than to be healthy. I get that. But I'm talking treatments are super pricey, especially in the cancer space. I mean, my heart goes out to anyone on chemo and radiation because they're just drowning in debt.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it's kind of funny. One thing is part of my story, why I do what I do, is because I used to abuse narcotics and I used to abuse alcohol. And when I was a kid, I was stupid. And one thing that I got to say, it was marijuana. It was smoking pot that really got me into doing cocaine. It was the gateway drug. I say that to say, when I got involved with essential oils, it's kind of like the gateway therapy to everything, because it's super easy for me to tell you, hey, put a couple drops of lavender in a diffuser. Here's my little diffuser. Couple bucks. Put a couple drops in. And then next thing you know, you start sleeping better. And you're like, what else can I do? But what's hard is you're like, okay, here's my 58.5-step program to lose weight and find the abundant life and do all the things. That's overwhelming to people. But anyone in the world can take those 4 essential oils I shared with you, put them in what's known as an aromatherapy inhaler, right? This little tube with a little bit, it has a cotton swab in it. You put the oils in that, and whenever you want to, you could inhale, and you can have everything from anxiety reduction to depression reduction to mood boosting to energy. This is what my wife uses when she's waking up at 5 in the morning to do her, her CrossFit exercises and things. So anyone can do that. And I find if anyone wants a quick win, start with essential oils, because it's almost immediate. And I get this question asked all the time, when should I start seeing results? Immediately. You shouldn't be doing anything. And clinically speaking, as a researcher, I could share with you that you shouldn't be doing something, in my opinion, for more than 3 or 4 weeks without at least receiving a positive reaction. If not, you're going to waste your time. I don't know what your thoughts about that, Jack, but you should be losing a couple pounds. You should be feeling better. Your heart panel should be better after 3-4 weeks. If not, let's think about something different.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that in the sense, and I tell people, hey, listen, try something and see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then you go on to the next thing. And of course, each person is individual, so one treatment is not going to work, or may work for one person, doesn't work for their next door neighbor, but that's how it is. And if you don't get the results, then you move on. So as far as the oils that we're going to use for hypertension or for the high blood pressure patient, would those same oils apply to someone maybe with a heart rhythm issue, something like atrial fibrillation or PACs, PVCs, extra heartbeats? Any oils that come to mind maybe for that group of people where we're trying to lower sympathetic, increase parasympathetic, but also as kind of like those, like a vagal, smoothing oil, if you will, something to kind of rid the people of the rhythm problem?
Yeah, I would, for those type of situations, of course, they're working with someone like you. I can't even begin to stress the importance of working with an expert like you, Doc, who understands the root cause, because I would want to find out why. I really would. I would want to find out why. And to be quite transparent, the research is relatively silent for I want to say general issues. Like we have research on atherosclerosis, we have research on cholesterol, we have research on blood pressure. But when it comes to the condition that you shared, we just haven't had the clinical trials done yet. So my just hypothesis from just what I know about essential oils in people is you really want to focus on just calming, relaxing, balancing. And ylang-ylang is going to come up a lot in this conversation because, again, it's a known harmonizer. And same thing with sandalwood. And this goes back to what we discussed about helping people sleep. Well, these oils can also help get people out of that sympathetic fight or flight state. The Roman camomiles, the lavender, the vetivers, and the cedar woods. And there's other woods, jojoa wood, Buddha wood, agar wood. Those oils can really help. But for folks that really struggle in that space, I would be cautious against, overdosing on the stimulating oils. And that happens a lot. And overdosing on caffeine. And maybe a solution is to replace a cup of coffee with maybe a peppermint and orange inhaler and see how that works. Because then that will stimulate your respiratory system. And just research has shown just one drop of peppermint in a glass of water. And again, for people that might get some esophageal irritation, I recommend diluting it with a little coconut oil or liquid stevia, which could help. So you're not drinking the straight peppermint oil. But research has shown that college athletes, their athletic performance just skyrocketed after ingesting peppermint. Because again, it makes sense. It's like legal blood doping. You're increasing your airways. You're breathing better. You're getting more blood shunted to the whole entire system. So maybe try that and try to also look at what else is causing this. And I'm telling you, when it comes to emotional balance and detoxification and mental well-being, people start to realize everything else just starts getting better. When your outlook on life is better. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you're stressed. Get out that lime oil. Get out that magnolia oil. I love magnolia, lime, orange, and lemon. I mean, I live in Georgia. We got magnolia trees all over the place. It has that nice, like really subtle lemon scent to it. So you get magnolia oil, couple drops of lemon, couple drops of lime, couple drops of orange. You put it in your diffuser, or you can make a spritzer out of it or a body lotion. It's like, how can you not smile? How can you not feel better?
I'm thinking about it right now, and it's the cardiovascular benefits of citrus in general. One of the components in there, one of the phytochemicals in there is called naringin, and naringin once again is it's all over the literature. Now, of course, most cardiologists aren't reading that. Part of the literature, they're not really interested. We're only interested in the pills and the procedures and how we can make more money. And to really to understand some of these medicinal benefits of the oils is really, really outstanding. And obviously, according to you, it sounds like it's fairly simple. But of course, once again, you want to get the literature. I mean, how easy is it going to be to read Dr. Z's new book and to plug into his system? It's going to be super exciting. Are there any oils you can think of that maybe interfere with any cardiovascular drugs that you can think of offhand? So if we talk about drugs that are maybe beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, all these different things that I'm trained in, of course, angiotensin receptor blockers. Is there ever a situation where you think that you can have some kind of interaction, or is it just two separate jurisdictions?
Oh, that's a really good question. And let's first say what's not grapefruit.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're trained, right? Avoid grapefruit. I'm assuming juice and fruit, right? For a lot of these drugs, what we find is the grapefruit oil, because it's extracted from the rind, doesn't have the same chemical in it that would interact with your heart disease meds. Okay, so there's a variety of them. So one thing you should not at all have any concern with is something I get on a regular basis, because a lot of folks, again, these pharmacists and cardiologists aren't trained in this, so they're just giving blanket recommendations, not realizing that it's not the essential oil fruit. It's the essential oil from the rind. So don't have to worry about grapefruit. But one thing that comes up, and this is really important, is clove, because clove can actually interact with blood thinners and cause people to have internal bleeding. And that's important because a lot of your favorite blends, a lot of your immunity blends, and being a non-branded educator, I'm not going to pinpoint any particular company. I try to really stay brand specifics, but you know what blends they are, and you know what companies like you use. But typically these blends that are known to boost immunity and literally kill the flu virus in the air. And that's kind of wild too, because we're in flu season, at least right now, it's October. So I'm diffusing our immunity blend, and it's been shown clinically to kill the flu virus, not the flu shot. That's a whole nother topic, by the way, which we actually might want to talk about shots, but once you get me started. So the thing that recognized is these immunity blends typically have clove and cinnamon, rosemary, eucalyptus, and a citrus like lime or lemon, and they work in, or orange, and they work in synergy with each other. But be very careful if you're ingesting that and if you're taking some sort of blood thinner. Other than that, there is some, and I don't have the list all in my head. Forgive me on that.
But listen, yeah, Dr. Z, and I didn't prepare. I didn't give you any questions ahead of time. I'm throwing the stuff at you.
Oh, this is good, man. You got me on my toes. You're testing me.
I'm throwing out the darts because my next one is going to be, because you mentioned blood thinner, and people are always asking me about natural blood thinners, and I'm going to guess that none of these are actual blood thinners, but what if we can say, are there any oils that maybe would enhance blood flow, improve the natural blood circulation environment that's there? So the body, obviously, what's called the coagulation system, is in a delicate balance, and there's things that help shut down blood clotting, and there's things that actually improve the blood flow in that situation, and the body depends on the delicate balance. Any oils that come to mind that can really regulate and normalize the circulation?
Yeah, when it comes to we go back to clove. Cinnamon is another one that's been shown to really help flow. That's why you got to be careful if you're on a blood thinner. But when it comes to the normalization of it, that's where I want to people go back into that vitalistic philosophy and really do what you need to do with your nutrition, with your exercise, and using essential oils like the ones we shared, like the ylang-yangs. And frankincense I haven't mentioned much, and myrrh I haven't mentioned yet. But oils that we know that can help bring peace and homeostasis. That's where I'd be very curious to see what would happen. But for sure, we know of clove and cinnamon. Those are the ones that in cassia, C-A-S-S-I-A, cassia are the ones that come up. And that could be through the inhalation, also be through the topical. And Doc, one thing we haven't talked about is internal versus topical versus inhalation. There are 3 different ways of using them. But one thing I want to caution people of is not to underestimate the power of topical use, because what we've seen through the literature is within minutes of applying oils, and always diluted. You just don't want to slather clove or, lemongrass, for example, has been shown to really help people balance cholesterol. Is that, you could apply some lemongrass over your carotids, and that's what a common practice in the aromatherapy space is. But just don't do it straight. Get some coconut oil, some olive oil, follow my book, my dilution chart, because it'll give you guidelines. But don't underestimate the power that within minutes, the chemical constituency in the essential oils can be detected in your bloodstream. And here's the thing, this is mind-blowing to me. In research study after research study has shown this, after about an hour and a half to 2 hours, just think about the half-life of this chemical compound. After about an hour and a half to 2 hours, no essential oil constituents are detected when they're evaluating in human trials in the people's bloodstream. So, we're talking complete metabolism.
Wow.
So, which brings a couple things to note. You don't have to worry about any sort of negative biochemical buildup like all the drugs that I know of do. But it also lends itself to believe you have to apply regularly if you're trying to treat something, or if you're having any sort of, depression attack or anxiety attack. It's just not one and done. Same thing with simple things like bug repellent. Like DEET has chemicals in it to stick on your body and skin that will last all day. If you have a natural bug repellent like citronella and peppermint in your clove, which are oregano, which are all good, you got to apply that thing every hour or two. So that's the thing, the nature of good supplementation of essential oils is your body will completely just utilize that product.
Fantastic information. Fantastic. All right. So obviously we can go on, forever. Tell us maybe some, tell us the best way to find out more about you and oils and your program and upcoming book. And because frankly, this could be a subject, we can go on for days talking about all the different possibilities here, but how are we going to get people some real help going forward?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I recommend, really do, to get my book, The Healing Power of Essential Oils, and you can go to healingpowerofessentialoils.com. You can pick it up on Amazon. I think Amazon's got it for like $12, $13. Get the book. Really get the book. It'll give you start to finish what you need to do and use essential oils for. And if you want to dive deep, if you want to kind of find out what I'm all about, go to my website, drerickz.com, and you could search up Dr. Z Essential Oils, and Google will tell you right where to find me. But the first step is to get the book, get the foundation I have a master class that people can take if they want to go step by step how to learn essential oils. All that stuff's on my website, Doc.
Doesn't that sound so much better than taking a pharmaceutical or some kind of Band-Aid or cover-up or having surgery unnecessarily when there's all these different other options out there? So exciting. So exciting. Dr. Z, it was a pleasure having you on the Healthy Heart Show. Hope you come on again. I want to upgrade my level of understanding of the oils. And I definitely want to bring it more into my practice. And I've had people that are representatives from some of these companies, and they're patients of mine, and they really want to help people out. So I think there's really some good people out there, but none better than yourself, such an authority on aromatherapy, essential oils. Dr. Eric Zielinski, thank you.
Thanks again, Doc. Really appreciate you having me.
Until next time, the Healthy Heart Show, Dr. Jack Wolfson signing out.